Coming to you live from the center of Hollywood, California. What were you thinking? With Aaron and Scott. Real talk behind closed doors. It's not just about stupidity, but everything else that comes with it. High octane, energy driven, in your face. Get ready. It's Aaron and Scott.
Hello, Bob. How are you? Aaron?
I'm good.
How are you?
Okay, you need
My coffee just kicked
your
in.
coffee absolutely just
This
kicked
is a
in.
wonderful day. What were you thinking?
This is our second edition of our
Halloween.
Halloween Spooktacular
Yes.
edition.
Oh, we have somebody.
Bob,
Well,
I tell you.
we wanted some effects, but not to scare the shit
No,
out of
that-
us.
Scott, that was Bob's voice. He was screaming. Bob, you're doing it.
Bob, that's what
do
you
you
do.
I
that?
can't help. It's a gift. It is an
That's what you
absolute
do when
gift.
you're doing your aerobics. And
Yeah.
something, right?
when
To the
Bob's-
left.
And to the right.
See?
Oh, my God.
That's how Bob gets his dates. It's his mating call.
Yes.
That's awesome. This is strange because Aaron is usually to my left.
Yeah, that's right.
But he's not here. Unless he's a little tiny person. No, we're in a different studio.
We are.
We're both adjusting.
This is weird, but you know what?
Yeah, we'll make the best of it.
It is what it is. But we do have an amazing show tonight. You know, last week we had Brooke Lewis.
Yes.
Scream, the Scream Queen.
Yes.
And tonight, man.
Yes.
How do you even...
Michael
Enter-
Berryman.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, from one of my favorite all-time what would you call it? Horror, suspense.
Yeah.
It's all wrapped up in one.
Absolutely.
I have referenced this last week, actually, when we were discussing your tan and how you looked like an extra from The Hills Have Eyes. Remember, I specifically said that.
You did. I remember.
He is The Hills Have Eyes. If anybody remembers the original movie. He is the original. He's the guy. He's that bald, creepy-looking, mean, scary guy that represented The Hills Have
Yes.
Eyes on their box covers, the movie trailer.
But this guy's an icon. I mean, he's been in several.
Yes,
But obviously, The Hills Have Eyes. I mean, that's a cult classic.
he was. Yeah, he was Hills Have Eyes. He was Hills Have Eyes too.
Right.
Also,
Yes.
and then countless other things.
Yeah.
But yes, he.
But we're
is
going to get him on the phone here in a few.
very excited about that.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So what else is new?
What else is new?
Yeah, tell me. My coffee just kicked in.
Are you going out for Halloween? You do it.
What do you mean going out?
Well,
like door to door.
yeah.
Hello.
I could see you. I could see that.
Yeah, I
You,
am.
trick or treating.
I am going.
And what are you doing?
I'm going door to door. I'm going to be trick or treating.
Looking for bicyclists. Yes.
You had to bring that up.
I'm sorry. I had
You know,
to.
it's all good.
You have
It's
that
all-
ingrained in my head. And you know, the show wouldn't be what it is if somehow a bicyclist was not introduced or said during the show. Wouldn't that be? Yeah.
See, that's the
The
sound
sound
effect I
of,
like to hear whenever anybody mentions a bicycle.
When Scott's driving.
Yeah, watch out. So check this out.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I think I'm going to just hang out with friends.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing.
Where are you going?
Well, yeah, I was going to go to West Hollywood, but you have 500,000 people that are there, and it's almost
They're
impossible.
annoying.
They're annoying.
and it's not any. Used to be a
It's
lot of
a
fun.
trip to get
years
in.
ago.
Yeah.
It used to be a lot of fun. Now it's this commercialized. Just
It takes. Oh, I don't know. It's a bear to get in. Once you're in, good luck getting out.
I got. No
So I'm going to be
interest.
I'm going to be in Pasadena.
Wow, you've gone
Yeah.
from one extreme to the other.
I know.
What are you going to be doing in Snooze Town?
I think there's a haunted house or something out there, and just dinner. So, I mean, low key, not West Hollywood.
Like a haunted house?
Yeah, like haunted house that like.
You pay to get into?
I think you pay to get.
Or is it
into.
just somebody's
I have no
place?
idea. I'm going with a friend.
Oh, I
I'm
guess-
just going along for the ride.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
That sounds wonderful. Bob,
Bob, what are you doing?
what are you doing? Aerobics class and then what?
I'm teaching my Halloween aerobics class tonight. I won't be doing. I guess this is tonight.
Yeah.
Because we're airing this. This is today is Halloween. So I'm going over to a friend's house. I'm boring. I go to my friend's house
let's
eating
clear this
bolognese
up.
and handing out candy.
Let's clear this up. We actually are doing this. This is a pre-recorded show.
Yes.
Just to let you know.
But
So,
some people fake. Some people fake it. Like Ellen DeGeneres will fake it.
No.
But you don't fake anything.
No, we're going to tell people who listen to us the way it is. It's actually Tuesday. What's the date? 28th?
29th.
29th.
Yeah.
Thursday is just 2
But
days
typically
away.
we do go live Thursday. But
we do, but not this Thursday.
But we are live
But
right
you're
now.
still getting brand new original content.
Absolutely.
Yes. And we miss being, well, it's, hey, what can I, okay, it's all
But
good.
you know what? Everybody knows we're on tonight, and that's what matters.
And nobody put an eye out.
And nobody.
If they did, they would look like tonight's guest.
Otherwise, we'd be talking to
You be
ourselves.
nice. He's not missing an eye.
I thought he is, and one of his things he
Well,
is.
maybe one of them, but the guy's got both his
Not
eyes.
in real life.
No, I'm
Wasn't
so
he also in
jazzed.
Weird Science?
Yes, he
was.
was. He's been in a lot of things. He's like the epitome of the creepy, scary dude.
Yeah.
I just,
Horror wouldn't be what it is
without him.
without him.
You remember the other night, too, when we were discussing our favorite movies in the past, all time.
Yes.
Hills Have Eyes.
That was one thing. That was one movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? I think let's get Michael on the phone now.
Yeah,
And,
let's give him a ringy-dingy.
Let's give him a buzz, Bob. Let your fingers do the tapping,
Pushing.
the pushing.
Push onto those buttons, Bob.
Oh, I did. I pushed him up against the wall real hard.
Show them who's boss. Show those buttons who's boss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you start, Scott.
I will do that.
Yeah.
Hello?
Is this Michael?
I think it could be.
Michael Berryman.
Hi.
How are you?
How you doing?
Oh, we're doing great. This is Aaron and Scott with Aaron and Scott.
That's right.
Yes.
Michael, thank you.
That's right.
Thank you so much for being a guest on our show. You're an icon in the movie industry and horror, and it wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for you. And we're just tickled that we have the privilege to have you on.
Just last week, I was discussing one of my favorite movies of all time is The Hills Have Eyes. And you represent that movie to me since I was a kid. So I just want to say this is really a privilege.
Well, thank you so much, and I'm so grateful to be able to be part of your nightmare or the dent in your can.
I like
Awesome.
that nightmare.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So let's talk. Jesus. First of all,
Let's start with The Hills Have Eyes because
Yes,
I mean
that would be great.
That's your favorite movie.
It's Hills Have Eyes and Halloween are my two favorites of that whole period. And actually, The Hills Have Eyes to me was ultimately the creepiest. That first one with the trailer behind the car and everything. Where did you guys film that?
We filmed that north of Los Angeles, just outside of the studio zone. So it's as far as you can go in that desert without having to pay a premium.
Right.
We filmed it out in Apple Valley and Victorville, California.
Yes.
In the high desert.
I know exactly where that is.
And there's a place called, we locals, I used to live in Big Bear, which is the mountains up above the desert.
Yeah.
We used to call it Dead Man's Point, where they intersect. And we just pulled up, started rolling film, and started getting stuff on camera because, we didn't have a lot of a budget, but we had a good story, and we had some, groundbreaking actors and director and writer, producer working on board to, push the envelope. And I think we did, because it's right up there. And you mentioned Halloween, yeah, the first one, you betcha. Hills right up there with it.
Yeah, this you were Pluto.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, this movie, cult classic. So, Michael, how were you? Now, the character you played wasn't a very nice guy.
No, he wasn't.
Would you say, he was like a madman? How were you able to get into this character to be able to do this movie?
Well, Pluto, he has an older brother, Mars, who's physically larger, but not as sharp and as cunning. So, Peter Locke and Wes Craven, we had a conversation about the character, and we realized that, Mars is the monster, and Pluto is the sinister mind. Very quick-witted, quick to make a decision, very cunning, and I really like that about Pluto. So it fit. As a matter of fact, when Pluto goes in with Mars and he makes his attempt at Brenda, and then Mars has his way and throws him off of Brenda. Pluto gets mad, of course, and he says, "Wait till you're a man, Pee-wee." And then I take the hatchet and I chop up the trailer And
yeah,
earlier,
you did a hell of a job. You did a hell of a job.
Well, we only had one trailer, so it was all handheld inside a very small trailer. So in order to get the shot, we only had one shot at it. So what you see in the movie is handheld. The only frame we had for that particular shot, because we didn't have a budget or the materials to rebuild the divider. So when I chopped through it at the very end, there's a big splinter of wood that you don't see that goes right through the by my pinky finger, right through the fleshy part of the lower part of my hand, and it just went right through me. And so it was really difficult. It was hot in the daytime, cold at night, very physical, very demanding to all the actors.
So there was no. So you had one trailer. You actually shot all those scenes from within the trailer itself. It's not like you had a set with partial trailers.
A set? No, we didn't have a budget for a set.
That's impressive.
We took our toys out to the desert and set up and started the whole film. I don't even know if we had permits.
Jesus, that is unbelievable, because I do remember those scenes very, very well. Yeah, I have to tell you something. Since that movie, every time I see a bald guy who looks a little eerie or spooky, I always look at him and I'll say to one of my friends, "Oh, I loved him in The Hills Have Eyes." And I can actually say that right here with you now. I loved you in The Hills Have Eyes. That is awesome. It's just, this is like, I don't know. And Dee Wallace, you worked with Dee Wallace before she was really big, obviously. E.T. really threw her out there, right?
Yeah, I think when Dee was up filming one, The Hills Have Eyes, we filmed at night often. You go out there, lots of stars to look at. And I think she was just praying really hard that she would get another movie role that would take her the hell out of the desert, and she did.
Wow, this is so awesome.
These are wonderful friends, known her for a long time, and I mean, E.T.'s mom, from The Hills Have Eyes. I think her prayers weren't answered.
Wow. You know what? One last question I have to ask you. You had a scene at the end with the dog Beast, and I've never seen a dog attacking somebody in a movie like this. Any feedback on that? That was pretty intense. Sure. That was intense.
Sure. There were two German Shepherds that we used during the filming of Hills Have Eyes. The dog Beast, which was actually the Bionic dog from the Bionic Man, that TV series. That was the same dog. Wow. He was kind of senior in his years for a German Shepherd, well-trained film dog. Probably, I'm thinking 9 years old maybe at that time. His name was Bracken, and he was very, very formidable, smart, really a great animal actor. Then there was Beauty, of course. Well, I have been living at a wolf sanctuary just east of the area where we filmed in the desert. It's an area called Big Bear Lake. Well, on your way, just before you get to Big Bear Lake on the north side is Wolf Mountain Sanctuary. So I had lived there for many, many years, and actually lived and cared for and been around and took naps with a pack of wolves. Some I could be one-on-one with, some not so much. But I took that experience, plus knowing the people that owned the Bionic dog. They also had an animal sanctuary they used for movie animals, of which were friends of the wolf sanctuary. So from that connection, when we went out to film, I said, "Wow, where are you getting the dogs?" And it was Mo DeCesso and friends, and I go, "Oh, right on." So we're working with people and animals that we've worked with before. So when the animals were doing scenes with Pluto, we would spend our days, beginning and end of each workday, isolated with just the animal trainers and the animals. Wes Craven, the director, or maybe sometimes Peter Locke, the producer, would come up and say, "Oh, here's what we have going for the next setup." But we would stay away from all the other actors, and the purpose of that is to keep the animal focused on you, because you're going to be working in the scene with them, and you want to keep them very short menu. And it worked very, very well. As a matter of fact, when the dog grabs my ankle, it actually had to grab my ankle. And I had these moccasins, and inside we put some material like you'd put playing football, for you to protect your elbow or something. But still, if the animal actually got carried away, it could, bite harder and harm you.
Yeah.
But what the animal did was to grab my ankle and hold it without clamping down, and then what it did, it moved its head back and forth, and I was to move my leg accordingly, so there'd be no real tension. But it's very specific, and it was very fun to do because it looks very, very vicious.
Yeah, it was horrifying, and it looked like he just shredded your Achilles, didn't it?
Well, exactly. At that point, in order to sell it, to sell the attack, where Mars gets on the radio and tells Papa Jupe, "Oh my God, this happened," and he goes, "Kill the baby."
Yes.
And that's the pivoting point in the film between two families, as far as social structure and humanity, etc. It's like, whoa, the threat is huge. Well, I actually have to grab the Achilles tendon and move it, and then have this wrinkled up face, like, oh, such pain and agony. And it was, we didn't have a lot of money for props, so Ken Horn put that together.
That's
our
amazing.
makeup effects artist, and we had a piece of chicken and a chicken leg tendon and bone from a previous meal, and we just used that.
That's great.
That's
great.
And, when I go to grab it, it's like, oh, got it. It's a very tight shot, very close up, and it just, it's just raw. It's very, very intimidating.
Something.
The movie never lets up. It never releases its grip on you.
Michael, I got to ask you now: were you able to keep any of your, we'll say, maybe villain props or wardrobe at all, maybe from Hills Have Eyes, or you've been in countless movies.
Yeah, over the years, I've latched on to some various interesting artifacts. As a matter of fact, the moccasins in Hills Have Eyes were my own personal moccasins. Zippers up the inside calves, so they fit very snug. They had steamed arched, soles. They were my own personal, and I gave them to the art director and then, wardrobe, and they glued on and dirtied them up and glued on the furs, etc. So those were very helpful when we were doing the running, chasing, leaping. Oh my gosh. On the hills, it was always at an angle and a slant. And we're talking desert, we're talking rocks, we're talking, sand, your feet slipping from under you. So I just said, well, here, take these, because if I want to be running around in the desert, I know these will protect me from, cactus. Also, I can run around and have good secure footing. So that kind of helped me. I did a movie with a guy named Screaming Mad George. It was a sci-fi movie with Mark Hamill from Star Wars, and I played the character Lisker. And it's kind of futuristic in L.A., and I had this wonderful long black coat, long sleeve with buttons from the neck all the way down to the ground. That I secured, and I held on to it for a long time, and then the proper time came around. It was a celebrity auction for charity, and then I had a chance to donate it, and people bid for it. So I do hang on to things occasionally when I can, and I like to turn them into a vehicle for helping charitable causes.
Wow. You're an amazing actor, and you are a giving person. Tell us about some of the charities that you're involved with, or that you've just mentioned.
Thank you for asking. Well, the one I've been involved in with the longest over time is from the early 80s, is Wolf Mountain Sanctuary.
Okay.
They have a website under that name. They're up just north. If you're in Big Bear Lake and you go north, going down toward the desert, you'll bump right into it.
This is the place you were just telling us about, right? Earlier in the conversation.
Yes, exactly. It's still there. They have a wonderful website, and they do good work. The other charities that I worked with, of course, over the years were dealing with bullying, drug mentoring programs for school districts, and I'm most proud of bumping into a gentleman named Paul Newman when I was doing the Skull Cowboy role for the Brandon Lee movie called The Crow. We were in Wilmington, North Carolina, and in my wardrobe fittings, one day I a gentleman was sitting opposite me at the table, and it had to happen to be Paul Newman. We had a lovely conversation, and long story short, he told me that he was involved in a group called the Bokie Creek Gang, which is out of Florida. And Paul Newman and General Stormin Norman Schwarzkopf and Arnold Palmer started the group, and Paul Newman's food products help go toward this major charity where they find families in need, and they take them to these wonderful doctors, and they reconstruct their face or cranium and or give them a better shot at life with better ability to breathe, and also, vision, and many times just so they can go out in public and not be gawked at. It's kind of dear to my heart. They do wonderful work, and it's all covered by this charity.
That's awesome.
And there's many more, but the long story short, for our listeners and everybody in general, if there's an opportunity to make a difference and help, go ahead and give it a shot. It might be a good thing to do.
That's awesome, buddy.
Yeah. Wow.
This is I don't know. I'm still. I'm so bummed out you're not here with us in Perfect. You have no idea.
Oh,
what
me too. Yeah,
you have no idea what a fan.
Finish the show, have dinner, and grab a cold one.
Yeah, this is you have such a big fan in me, buddy. Seriously, I remember that I keep going back to The Hills Have Eyes, but when you're a kid and it comes out and you see it, I remember back in the day at drive-ins, people would pack into their motorhomes and park them in the back.
Best, man.
Yeah, and I remember this family up the street from us going to see it, and they were all loading in there, and you are that face that represents that movie. And one other thing that I thought.
Great. Go ahead.
There's one other thing that I recall that was really, really fucking creepy about that movie was when you and Papa Jupe, as they called him, were on the walkie-talkies to each other. Remember that?
Yes.
That was just fucking eerie. Papa Jupe, and you guys going back and forth. And when you guys were, I've done a lot of different television commercials. When you guys were actually filming this, and like for instance, the scene inside of the trailer, the rape scene, the murdering the father scene. When you're actually doing that, is it kind of like, okay, we're all going to get into character here? That was a pretty rough scene as far as movies go.
Well, they're both very, very strong, and they're designed to be strong for the story. So when the avenging family finally confronts their situation, and then they conquer it, and they kick our ass.
Yeah,
that's what has to happen in the story. So in order to give them something, a level to rise up to, and not succumb to fear, is what challenges our hero. So yeah, absolutely, we knew that the attack and the rape and scene with Brenda in the trailer would be very controversial, very, very difficult to watch, and it needed to be so. Also, the killing of the father, which I think is one of my favorite, strongest memories. It's just dynamite. I have it memorized. When father from the family who's stranded comes up to Grandpa Fred, he's shooting at him. He's, "Oh, I thought you were somebody else. You're trespassing."
Yeah.
What? Explain yourself. And he tells this one incredible story, and the father goes, "So I knew he'd done it. He killed my little daughter's, the baby. So I took a tire iron and I split his face wide open." And the father goes, "Well, how bad was it?" Now, I use that as an opportunity for laughter, because it's wrong to laugh if you're in the theater, if you're watching the movie at that point. But Wes is so sharp. He put it in there just to make you even more uncomfortable, because it is funny in the sense that it's not normal.
Right.
Our mind goes, "Well, he just said that this happened, and he split his face wide open," and the next thing he asks is, "Well, how bad was it?" Well, he split his face wide open. So it sets you up. It sets you up. you're going to laugh or giggle or go, oh, pshaw.
Yeah.
And Wes is so smart. And the next thing that happens is he drops the stuff he was going to barter, that Ruby was going to barter with Grandpa Fred.
Right.
And it makes it flying on the floor. And they look down. They both look down. One guy's a retired cop, and he goes, what's that? And, Grandpa Fred goes, oh, it's nothing. And then, he says, oh, what? You think it's this, and this. And then all of a sudden.
Yeah, from behind, the guy pulls him out. Yeah, I remember.
Smashes through the window, and we overcrank the camera in the slow-mo. And it's just like, as an audience member, you're going, I'm not safe.
No. That thing at that exact second, for the first time you watch that shocks the shit out of you.
Yeah, that's and especially when he takes it. He's just talking about a tire iron, splitting his face wide open, and then Papa Jupiter has a what do you call that thing? A nail puller, crowbar, and thuds him in the face, and you go, holy shit!
Yeah, totally. Michael,
it's amazing.
Let me ask you something, buddy. I'm curious to know if you had to pick a few of your favorite. I don't know if horror is the right. See, because a lot of people confuse horror movies with blood and guts, and I don't think it's blood and guts that makes people scared. I think it's more suspense and the storyline. Like, there wasn't a lot of blood. There was really no blood and guts in The Hills Have Eyes, and yet it's the creepiest to me. What is like your favorite of a few movies maybe that are along the lines of horror and suspense? And I'm curious to know what your feedback is.
I agree with you. Special effects, squib generated or blood sac generated film is an effects film. You have to have a story first,
right?
And you have to have players that interact. Otherwise, it's just it's a special effects project. I go way back to Twilight Zone, Hitchcock, stuff like that, as far as good story structure and what intrigues me. Because I remember as a kid, Hitchcock, who was this funny-looking rotund guy? Oh, he talks funny. Ooh, he does a story setup, and here we go into the story. I go, well, it's this, it wasn't as flashy or stimulating, but all you have to do is kind of listen, pay attention for a few minutes, and then you're involved in the story emotionally and mentally. That's a great place to take your audience. So that kind of stuff I grew up on. Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, etc. I remember the Fall of the House of Usher, the face films. They had some of them weren't that great, but they had great mood. They had a great way of bringing me into the story, and I go, wow, and visually, okay, it might be a little campy, but I'll buy it.
Yeah.
We've gotten more sophisticated these days with special effects. It's absolutely tremendous. But I would have to say I like the first Halloween very much.
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
The Exorcist scared the holy crap out of me. I actually got on my knees that night and said my prayers. I hadn't done that a long time. Just in case, and that's actually the truth.
Now, Michael, wasn't The Exorcist? The Exorcist, from my memory, just came out about 3 years before Hills Have Eyes, right?
Yeah.
And Halloween was about 2 years after Hills Have Eyes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you notice?
The effect of storytelling was just very strong in all three of those. I mean, that's why they still are so popular today.
Do you notice that a lot of people usually have their favorite scary films? We'll just call them, for lack of whatever. Let's just call them scary films. Most people's favorites have to do with when they were maybe 8 to 15, 20 years old. Do you notice that?
Well, that's okay. Well, that's still pretty wide range, 8 to 15 to 20.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of people, their favorite scary movies, horror movies, whatever, they tend to take place when they were old enough to understand and young enough to still get the shit scared out of them.
Well, typically, I think more the original movies.
Yeah, yes. I would say the biggest jump out of the seat is in that realm. I would say yes, absolutely.
Because I can still watch these movies as a full-grown adult, and I'm like, wow, they still grab me.
Watch them, they still grab you. That's very true. Yeah. That's very true. I do like science fiction, futuristic stuff a lot. I mean, going back to films like Omega Man, Soylent Green, Silent Running, that kind of stuff. I loved it. Edgar Rice Burroughs' short stories are very, very good reading.
I have one question I have to ask you. In The Hills Have Eyes, they all referred to, I think, the baby who was born. The old guy at the beginning at the gas station was telling about his baby that he and his wife had that was born at 20 pounds, and he was huge. He came out sideways and split poor mama apart. Remember that?
I'll do the scene for you.
Okay, there you go. Of course you remember that. So that was...
Oh, yeah. I've got the movie memorized. He goes, he's talking about that. And this thing that Martha gave me, it weighed 20 pounds. It was hairy as a monkey. It came out sideways and damn near tore poor Martha apart.
You got it. Yes, exactly.
I used to find chickens with their heads spit off. And one day I came home, and the place was burnt to the ground. That son of a bitch, well, he didn't say son of a bitch, but I'll say it. And he wasn't even singed. That poor baby girl was burnt to a cinder. I knew he'd done it, so I took a tire iron and I split his face wide open.
That's awesome.
How bad was it? How bad was it? See, but that's what Wes does. He sets you up. You're going to laugh.
Good old
how
man.
Bad was it? Well, of course. He's put his face wide open. Of course that's bad. And then he goes, what's this stuff? And then, boom, he hits you broadside. And then you're panicking just like the father when you're running away having a heart attack.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, he brings the audience to that. I mean, that's the sharpness. I was very fortunate to know Peter Locke and Wes Craven in the early Hungry days. And the efficiency of Wes's storytelling and the way we put it together, we really everybody just threw themselves into the movie. There's a wonderful lady and the neighbor of mine in L.A. these days. Her name is Susan Lanier, played Brenda.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, she's a good neighbor of ours, and she's a musician extraordinaire. If you go to YouTube, there's a music video called "Watch What You Ask For" by Suze S-U-Z-E Lanier Bramlett. She was married to Delaney Bramlett, a very famous musician, taught Eric Clapton and play guitar. Anyway, Suze is still with us, and Don Peake, who did our musical score, he and also Dee Wallace, and the gentleman that played the father with the mustache.
Yeah.
Please forgive me. We were all at a convention at Cinema Wasteland just a few weeks ago, which is one of my favorite conventions in the United States. Cinema Wasteland is always wonderful.
Michael, let me ask you.
And we had a reunion after many years.
That's awesome.
Let
me ask you something. Of the group of your Hills Have Eyes guys, were any of you guys really larger in size, or were you all basically, your typical 5'10" to 6'1"?
Oh, well, I'm 6'2". I've been 6'2" since I was in.
I stand corrected. I stand corrected already.
What? Oh no, I'm still 6'2". Papa Jupiter, he was in a lot of westerns, played by a guy, the antagonist. Jimmy was probably 6'3.5", maybe, and Mars about maybe 6'2.5". I remember. About 6'2", about the same as me. A little bigger frame though. But
how about Mercury?
To be in Mercury. Well, Mercury was Peter Locke. He was wearing the feathered head bonnet with the radio. Hey Pluto, I see you. Maybe I make a joke like that. I eat the toes.
And that's when he bit it.
You know, we always laugh. And he gets pushed off. That was
by the devil dog. Devil dog, remember? Devil dog.
Devil dog, big pies all over it.
Yeah,
Michael, I got to ask you because I know all the listeners are going to want to know too. So you've done countless films. What next? What do you have working up? What do you got cooking? Because I know we all want to know.
Well, I actually wrote on my email from Judy various notes to make sure I mention them, and here we go.
Okay.
I'm going to do them in most recent. I did a beautiful, brilliant short about an ice cream man who arrives in this suburban neighborhood, and the children come out to get the ice cream, and it's very Rod Serling and very creepy with how they pay for it and how the parents all agree smilingly. It's called One Please, and their shorts is by a writer-producer who's actually a pediatric surgeon out of Arkansas. So it's called One Please. Then I have a futuristic film part in it that is very Blade Runner-ish. It's called Apocalypse Kiss. And they have a website. It's very, very interesting. It's due to come out very soon. And then Chad Verdi's production company is out of Rhode Island, and he has a movie coming out soon. Well, Self Storage with Eric Robinson, myself, is out. But the one that's even more trippy is called Army of the Damned, and I play a retired sheriff that has his little cabin of arsenal and is waiting with his patient dog for the portal from hell to be opened. And of course, when the paranormal investigators come to check out this house, I go, might not want to go into that house. And of course, they do it anyway. Well, our paranormal investigators happen to be none other than Sonny Erna from Godsmack and Joey Fatone from NSYNC.
Wow.
And a few others. And then, of course, when they happen to have a situation, they call the police and SWAT shows up, and lo and behold, it's our good friend Tony Todd, and he and I have a conversation, and it goes on from there. It's really, really cool. It's another film by Woodhaven Productions, Chad Verdi's company, and they're making some really, really fun movies. And the director, of course, is Tommy DeNucci. Tommy's up and coming, good, very dear friend, and so we're having a lot of fun with these projects. And I've got more stuff coming up very soon.
Wow!
And when I know, I'll let you know.
Jesus, this has absolutely been a pleasure, my friend.
Absolutely,
I cannot tell you how much this has meant. Like I said, if you were sitting here right now, buddy, I'd probably be sitting right next to you, give you a hug. I'm like, I can't. I'm so no. I mean that in a good way. I seriously, I think the world of you, bud. Seriously. Oh my God!
And coming from you, Scott, that means a lot.
Your accolades and respect are well earned, of course, but also very much appreciated.
Yeah.
I just have one little PSA of my own I'd like to put out there to all my listeners. People that know me over the years and whatnot. I always like to throw out a little bit of philosophy. So today's thoughts for the day will be, I think we should try to do something that Hippocrates told us about, and that is do no harm and protect from harm. And my other little ditty for today is, I think our duty as human citizens of the earth is to be very much aware of that fact and make your decisions accordingly.
That's very cool.
Very well said.
No, actually, that's very, very.
Yeah.
It's so funny coming from you.
Well, you'll have to play it back and write it down, and I challenge you to write an essay. There'll be a quiz on Tuesday.
That's so amazing coming from you. I mean, I've had you in my head a certain way for so many, 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 many years, and this is very cool. You sound like a great man. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, Michael Berryman, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll fly with that. My book will be out. I should have it finished by New Year's, and we'll
hey,
see
just curious. How was it on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Well, if we had about 2 more hours, we could complete that question. But actually, it was my second job. I worked 127 days. We had 2 weeks of rehearsal with camera, director, cast, And when we filmed in 35 millimeter Panavision with carbon arc lighting. So if there's any camera heads out there, you'll know what carbon arc lighting is. It means that there's it's like the ones you would see, hey, come to this place, and you see lights in the sky. Well, that's carbon arc lighting. It's a rod that actually ignites and burns and has a reflection. And this is what we used for our lighting. Cinematographically, it's very beautiful. The France bought, I believe, almost all of them because they're very art-oriented. But we filmed it at a real hospital, Oregon State Hospital. The doctor, Smivy, was actually Dean Brooks, the real doctor at that facility. Some of the patients, when Jack and the chief went to be electroshocked, you saw those patients reacting. Black gentleman stirring an invisible cauldron, the young gentleman with his face up against the window to the door, walking away. Those were all real patients that were committed, quote unquote. So we spent 6 days a week for months on end. That's where we were at work every day. And the running joke was that they had a ward just for us when we finished. I actually saw Christopher Lloyd in Canada a few months ago at a convention, and we hadn't seen each other in a long time. And, we both commented, of course, how his life, but also, thank you, Saul Zaentz, for making Cuckoo's Nest happen. I mean, Kirk Douglas could not get Cuckoo's Nest made in his, in his prime as far as star power. Nobody thought mental illness was a subject that could be considered in the manner in which people actually experience those moments. I mean, the mentally ill, should not just be tossed out in the street, and it should also not just be boarded like in a puppy mill. So there's a lot to Cuckoo's Nest. It's probably one of my most fondest experiences as far as acting. I did not know a lot about acting after I had done a movie with George Powell 2 days called Doc Savage. That's how I got started. But Cuckoo's Nest was like, I walked up to Milos Forman and I said, "Hi, I have a degree in art history, but I don't know what I'm doing here. Give me some pointers." And he walked me up in front of the camera and he said, "You see the glass?" I go, "Yes, I do." And he says, "Here's what I want you to do. As long as you're going to be doing acting, whatever. This is film. Have a love affair with a lens."
Wow.
And I go, okay. So after Milos walked away, I walked up to my cinematographer and I go, "What did he just say?" and he goes, "Oh, come here. You got a minute?" And he started pointing his finger at, numbers on the barrel of the lens and where there's, dials and levers and things. And he says, "Now look through the camera." He does not, twist this left to right, up and change this. Oh, and I learned things like f-stops, depth of field, aperture, these kinds of things. Very important to a film actor. Stage is different, but if you're a film actor and even television, you need to know what the camera does so you can help your director get the vision that they want. You can walk up to the counter and take a butter knife and put peanut butter on the bread 150 different ways.
Right.
Well, which way does the director want when they say action?
Right.
Wow.
And that's the conversation an actor has to have as an artist to the director, with the respect of their vision, because it's the director's vision that makes it. You can have 5 directors make the same movie verbatim, and they're all going to look different.
Yeah, totally.
So as an actor, I like to know what kind of. I'm a pigment. I'm part of the palette with the other actors in the art direction, etc., and the set builders and the music. And it's all a wonderful experience to have all these talented people work together. And to me, Cuckoo's Nest meant that, because I spent Christmas on the set in Salem, Oregon, in Cuckoo's Nest. And we got, after 127 days, I got to know my dear friends very, very well. And it was one of the very few and rare situations that I have had the the joy to experience, and many actors never get that experience. They might get fame and wealth, for instance, but very seldom you get to work on a film that wins Oscars.
Yeah.
And the talent of every single person that was on the set were handpicked.
I didn't mean to.
And that was amazing.
I didn't mean to just throw in. By the way, let's talk about the Cuckoo's Nest. I immediately.
Oh well, I've got the gift for Gab.
Yeah, no, it's totally cool. It's not like that was like, by the way, what about this? I mean, I would have started with that one, but I had to go to the Hills Have Eyes. But the Cuckoo's Nest is absolutely one of my favorites.
I'm getting a beep on the line. I'm going to have to say goodbye.
Thank you, buddy.
Michael, thank you so much. Michael Berryman, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, thank you so much, Michael.
Yes.
All right, y'all take care and take care of one another.
All right. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Bye.
Wow.
What were you thinking with Aaron and Scott? The show that gets to the core of all the bull. Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern.
We here at the studio are really athletic guys, and as a result, we're always pulling this, overstretching that. You know how it goes. You get hurt from time to time, or you just sleep wrong and wake up with some sort of ache or pain. But no matter what the situation is, we choose who we consider to be one of the best chiropractors in L.A., Dr. Chet Millett. Headaches, backaches, neck aches. He's the guy we trust with our pain. Dr. Millett is located at Body Structure in Hollywood, California on Cole Street across from Gold's Gym. Seriously, we know this guy. He's got the experience and expertise, and he cares. That's Dr. Chet Millett. Give him a call at 323-469-8062 or look him up on the web at bodystructurela.com, or you can find him on Yelp. Dr. Chet Millett. He's the guy we trust with our pain. From the darkness below, an intense and thrilling game by the creators of Appcode Source, bringing the ultimate Gangnam game directly to your devices. Gangnam Speedrunner. Now available on your app store. Get ready to run. This app is rated G for Gangnam. Visit GangnamSpeedrunner.com. Work it.
Wow.
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 Wow. I'll tell you what.
I've never seen you so excited, Scott.
I know. It's like a kid in a candy store.
I swear to God, I was looking forward to this. Oh, my
I knew
God. This guy represents like the 70s and scariness and all that kind of stuff to me. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, my God. That was so cool. God, that was cool.
I can't believe he recited all those lines for you.
He knows everything. I gotta tell you, he knows the whole script,
but he put himself in that character just like that.
I have to tell you, I've interviewed a ton of celebrities that have done things that they're famous for, for something like that.
Yeah.
I've never had one of them get into character and do that many lines.
But the good thing, he wasn't just doing his lines. He was doing everybody else.
That's what I mean. No, that was awesome what he did.
Seriously. Oh, my God. Wow. I'm so appreciative for him coming on
Absolutely.
with us. Oh, my gosh. Anyway, I'm in too good of a mood to talk about asshole gardeners or bicyclists right now. I don't care if they ride in the middle of the freeway all day long in front of me.
That's right.
And gardeners blow their dirt on my hood of my car. Today, I'm too good with this.
Except that guy.
I don't know what that was. These are your buttons.
It's like, Jesus, it's Halloween. So you know what? I'm having such a good time with Halloween.
Yeah.
I want to extend this. Let's have more scary people on.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're just going to do it year round.
Halloween for the rest of the
It's going to be Halloween all the time.
okay.
Why not? It's a fun holiday. Nobody has to buy gifts or accept gifts or get gifts that they don't
But
really
it's
need, that they pretend they want. Halloween,
But here's the
fun.
thing. I mean, we're talking to, Michael Berryman. Hills Have Eyes. This guy from the horse's mouth.
We had the picture of him, right?
Yeah, on there.
So people,
But when you have these actors on, you're hearing it from them. It's undescribable.
Yeah.
You can't. To be able to hear it from them and their experiences.
I'll tell you, I wouldn't mind checking out that. I'm sure we have this all down, but I want to go look at that wolf community he was talking about outside of Big Bear. I think that would be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You have to understand, I don't know, Bob, if you've seen the movie, but there is a scene where the dog attacks him. I've never seen a dog attack like this in a movie, ever. It was brutal and vicious. And then with him giving us the input on the dog, do you know what kind of an intelligence that dog has to know to just go with it without hurting, but make it look real. Yeah. Like you're going to sit down and talk to the dog. Now, dog,
you're going to use
make it look real, but don't tear him up. And the dog goes, "Oh, I can do that. Calculating, I can do that." That's got to be. And that dog was the bionic. I was going to ask him, was that from the $6 Million Man?
Bionic Woman, isn't it?
Bionic Woman. She had the bionic dog.
I think so.
Yeah. Jamie Summers. Lindsay Wagner.
Yes.
I met once. Very nice.
See,
lady.
it's funny. Wasn't it just last week or 2 weeks ago when we were asking Scott because he was complaining about everything, and we were like, Scott, what's something that you love?
You know, he doesn't know anything current. He knows.
It's something about the current, but it's like this was not on the radar.
No.
And you are so excited tonight, Scott.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of cute.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Oh,
you're attractive. You're attractive to me again.
Oh, the things Bob was saying about you last week.
Check this out. No,
Lordy.
Just for the record, there are things currently that I do like as well. It's just we had a lot things in the past. Let's face it.
They were awesome.
It was easier going.
It was.
Everything's too difficult and too
things
annoying
were
now.
more. It just seemed more real. They were more simple.
The 80s, I'm going to tell you something. If you're old enough to realize, the 80s were the last of the big hurrah.
I believe it.
It went down right as the 90s started. Yeah. Now, a lot of people say, oh, no, the 90s were great. The 90s were only good if you were born in 79 and you don't know any different.
Yeah.
However, a lot of people will admit that, we started to see you can't. No bowling alleys, no drive-in theaters, no those fun things that we used to do, and I don't know. It was an easier time.
The luster has been gone.
It's it now. Before you put me back in a shitty mood, let's just ride with the fun, Bob. I'm glad I'm attractive again.
You are.
Yes.
Wear my two-piece.
Take your shirt
week.
off. Yeah.
Touch those boobies.
Scott, what's your line? Who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy, baby?
You're my daddy.
Thank you, Michael. Again. Oh my God, this was amazing. Any last minute?
Man, I don't know. I'm just riding on this wave right now after getting off that phone call.
That was amazing. God, I wish he was here. I'm serious. I would have stood up and gave that scary guy a hug.
Maybe next time we can have him back. He
lives in the Southern California area, from what I understand.
I don't think so. Based on the area code that I dialed, I don't think he does.
Oh, really? Okay, because I
saw
something.
I could be wrong. I
looked him up. I saw something. No, I saw Born in Los Angeles, California.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Wow. He called us, or we called him.
You have his phone number. You got to go home and call him on your drive home?
No, absolutely not. Wouldn't that have been awful if we confused that with our crank callers?
Oh.
We're like, hey, we got this credit card, and we don't owe you anything. He's like, wait a minute. I'm Pluto. I'm going to get you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to get you, and I'm going to rip your... Oh, that's another line. I forgot to ask him about that. A line throughout that whole movie that they used over and over, I'm going to rip your lungs out. So it was used over and over. It was like their thing. They kept saying, Papa Jupiter, what are you going to do? When I get a hold of him, I want to rip his lungs out. You're like, God damn. And then, it was like everybody say, the baby. Oh, the baby speaks. What does she say? I'm going to rip your lungs out. What is this? It was ongoing. Anyway. Okay, we're going to wrap it up.
Until next.
What does this mean? Earth. That is the dog saying, I'm going to rip your lungs out.
That's right.
I don't even know what that
What was that?
It said pig. I thought it would have been time for a pig.
It sounded like I was at a garden party.
There we go. That's how we end this show.
That's me at a garden party.
Folks.
Hey, happy Halloween, everyone. It's Halloween today, as you're seeing this. Even though we recorded it Tuesday, but we went through that, so we won't do it again.
That's right.
Thank you. See you next week.
See ya.